If you like the content I'm about to show you, would appreciate you hitting the subscribe button.
Magisk is one of the most well-accomplished players within Counter-Strike, and is heavily known for his brick wall defense when anchoring those CT Bombsites. With the new addition of Spinx into the lineup, his overall performance has just shot up, forcing teams to be perfect just to have the chance of taking the site. Heya I'm Smirky, and today I want to look at Magisk and how he anchors B on the CT side of Dust 2, so let's begin. Now there's some quick pointers I need to show you on how Magisk plays B. dupreeh will be commonly playing with Magisk on that B bomb site, and when they need to smoke off mid, that will be Zyru's role, as he's one of the players in the team who needs it the least. Meanwhile, dupreeh and Magisk can save their smokes for that B bomb site. But it is worth noting on a few occasions, if Zyru has a really good spawn, he might not want to waste it and let dupreeh smoke it instead. And if you're playing against an eco, you can see in this round they don't even bother to smoke, as it's pretty much just a waste. Now what does Magisk do when he's starting on that B bomb site all by himself? Well, let's take a look. In this round we can see Magisk is going to cross, and he's going to throw a Molotov through the doors. The purpose of this Molotov is to deny any rushes, and you can see it will land towards the entrance of the tunnels, making it so if the T's were to smoke it off, they would be forced to run through a smoke where they're just going to get grey screened. But after the molly, Magisk will play towards window, and we'll just watch it for a little bit, seeing if a rush will happen. And it's worth noting, since he's playing in this position, the common flashbangs that will land around here won't affect him, due to this wall blocking his vision. But from here, it will jump down onto the site. Once again, we can see another example. He's going to Molotov the door, head over towards window, but this time it will just straight drop down onto that bomb site. And in this round, Magisk will have a HE out in his hand. And the reason why he has it out is because it's much quicker for him to throw it and deal a lot of damage soon as he hears his Molotov being put out. Now there's quite a few occasions where Magisk will just play right in front of the tunnels. Like in this round where Magisk will throw his D4 Molotov, he's going to run close towards the tunnels and just play this angle right here. But afterwards he's going to decide to smoke it off. Now depending on how the T's throw their flashbangs, it can be pretty hard to flash Magisk off this angle, as he's playing so close towards the tunnels, making it so he can kill anyone running through his Molotov or who are grey screened. And it's also worth noting, Magisk will commonly throw a piece of util after the Molotov, so that might be a smoke, a Molotov or a flash. But they will always try to keep a smoke between one of the B players for later in the round, just in case it was a B split. And that's a really important pattern you want to understand for later in the video. But from here, Magisk will just stay in front of the smoke, waiting for a potential push, and when G2 throws a HE, he will decide to send one back right at them, as it seems pretty well timed. Again, we're going to see something similar. He's going to throw his Molotov, but instead of playing passive behind the Molotov waiting for a push, he's going to get right in their faces. And not only may the enemy team not expect this, they may be caught off guard due to the vision of the Molotov blocking a bit of Magisk's play model. But from here, Magisk will just hold this angle for quite a while. Now if you're doing an anti-eco, it doesn't really make sense for you to be up so close up against tunnels and be in vision of their flashbangs. So you could try this out, where you Molotov from outside the doors and wait for any potential T's to rush you from outside the doors. As from here, it's difficult to get flashbang through the roof, and they can't flash you with the traditional pop flashes, unless of course they just flash through the tunnels. And keeping that range while you have a rifle is a really good advantage you should try to keep. Now more than half the time, they will start double towards that B bomb site. Let me show you what I mean. In round 19, they're going to both head their way towards B, and dupreeh's going to molly for Magisk. And I would say this makes sense, as dupreeh's commonly playing towards CT mid, and a Molotov isn't really needed. So it allows Magisk to save an extra Molotov for that B bomb site. And in this round, when the Molotov starts to go, he will smoke it out, still having a Molotov on his belt, and a smoke on dupreeh's. And with this smoke down, Magisk is just going to spray the tunnels, just in case they're waiting behind it, or perhaps doing a boost, to see if he can get any free damage or kills. Against OG, we're going to see something similar. Magisk is going to play close, but this time he's going to throw an early HE, which does a bit of damage towards Dexter. But soon after, they're going to create a setup on that B bomb site, and dupreeh will smoke off tunnels, while allowing Magisk to keep his smoke for later in the round. Against OG, we can see something similar, and this pattern is pretty common, where dupreeh may throw an initial piece of utility, may throw something after, and then we'll just do a setup with Magisk. And I'm probably going to sound like a broken record, but again, these late pieces of utility on Magisk can be super helpful, as when the utility goes away and let's say it gets a bit quiet, he can throw a Molotov towards tunnels, or if it is a B split, he can either smoke off door or smoke off the tunnels to help him defend it. Now I want to show you some interesting ideas I saw from Vitality's B. In this round, Magisk and dupreeh's going to make their way over towards tunnels, and they're both going to hold it like this. dupreeh's going to play close towards the tunnels, just like Magisk was doing earlier, and Magisk will play far back, behind him, watching tunnels with him. And this can be a proper deadly setup, as anyone going for a quick peek may just get riddled with bullets. And after waiting a while against G2, it will later come into fruition. Nico's going to later peek in towards tunnels, and he's just going to get completely caught off guard by this setup. Now, where should you play if you're playing all by yourself on that B bomb site? Well, Magisk will show you some examples. One of the angles I kind of showcased earlier was this one, and I call this the bit angle. And the reason why this angle is effective is because you're in a pretty weird spot right next to the wall, and you're using this tiny little gap to gather information and get a cheeky kill. And let's say in the scenario you did get a kill, you would be trapped towards the right side, but since Magisk has a smoke, he could use it to try and slip away. But in this round he's not going to get anything, and OG are going to go towards long, so he's just going to smoke off his tunnels since he's all by himself. And in round 8, Magisk is going to play this angle for a very long time. He's going to Molotov at the start, head over towards this angle, and stay on it for 15 seconds. But in a second, Fiku's going to bait some util, and this will force Magisk out of his position. He will throw HE to see if he can deal some damage, but instead Magisk is actually going to take a lot of damage, and will swap with Zyru for the AWP. Now, this isn't an angle I've seen Magisk play a lot, but it's pretty decent. Currently, Magisk is playing in an angle where he can't get flashed from above and can focus on tunnels. And even though he's by himself on that bomb site, it can be super easy for him to get a kill and fall off, and get his rotate player in Zyru to help via doors or window. And in this round it's going to work amazingly, as GT will try to execute onto that B bomb site, Magisk will double up, he will get traded, but Magisk wasted quite a lot of time, allowing Zyru to get into position and start popping shots with his AWP. Now, Magisk loves to play around this Xbox on B, and I would say it's his second favourite position to play. From this position, it's super easy to grab information and fall off back into cover. Roughly around the 120-second mark, we can see Magisk is going to play a similar angle. He's going to go towards Xbox, the T's have just threw the smoke, so he's just going to HE it and spam through it, trying to find any damage onto Fiku. And you can notice when he wants to reload or pull out some util, it will go towards Xbox, do what he needs to do, and then peek out once he's ready to fight. But from this position, he can just apply a lot of pressure and make it harder for the T's to look through it. Lastly, maybe once or twice a game, I've seen Magisk play towards plat. Now, it does have similar advantages to playing Xbox, that is really easy to grab information from deep tunnels, but unfortunately it can be difficult for you to fall off. So the best way for you to get a frag is by randomly popping your head up and seeing if anyone has appeared. And it's also worth noting when he has popped his head down, it's also really difficult to flash him, as currently he's using the box right in front of him to cover the majority of the possible flashbangs. But in a second he will rotate towards A due to short presence. Now, as I alluded to before, it is really difficult for you to fall off because you're kind of just isolated out into the open. Like in these rounds where you could get an AWP posted on you, or the T-side could Molotov you out into position where a group of them can just frag you. Now, a lot of the times they'll be playing double towards that site, so how about we look at some setups with Magisk and his teammates. One of the most common setups I've seen from their B is where they play one towards the site and one close towards the tunnels. If the T's were to push out tunnels together, they both have good angles where they can just laser them down. However, let's say if there's util and they force off the angle, Magisk can play towards the site, and if dupreeh somehow is flashed off or he needs to fall away, he can play towards the car, and again, they can have a crossfire setup. And the first scenario we're going to see this being used is in round 27 against G2. Magisk will just jiggle towards the tunnels and can get early information. The likelihood is that the teaser will spot him, they'll try to kill him, and dupreeh can swing off it. But in this round, it's not going to get used. The other option you have is playing on top of the site and jiggling towards the tunnels. In this scenario, you are more open towards the tunnels, however it's a lot more easier for you to fight, especially with your teammate. He's just going to be jiggling for a bit, and when he wants information, he'll flash dupreeh into tunnels, he'll jump off the site, and this will allow him to get some information from CT mid. But unfortunately he doesn't get anything, so he'll change it up and do this jump peek, where he can see more deeper towards the tunnels. Now you can use this setup where it's more of a bait and switch. In this setup, Magisk should be taking the contact, and when the T's go to swing out, perhaps trying to klonkarn in the process, it's likely that they're going to look past dupreeh and he should be able to kill it in the back. While of course Magisk is helping when possible. In round 2 against OG, the setup is going to be used quite early, and this is likely some sort of pre-planned anti-eco, where dupreeh will sneak into the corner and Magisk will just spray into the smoke, seeing if he can find a kill. From here, he's just going to play on top of the bomb site, waiting for a little bit, and they're actually going to get contact. Magisk is going to spot a player, he's going to throw a HE which does some chunky damage. Unfortunately, I do think he peeks out a bit too much, and thus the setup can't be fully utilised to its potential, but they don't actually check dupreeh in the scenario and he does some damage. We're going to see a similar setup where this time Magisk will be playing towards the fence and dupreeh is going to be playing towards the car. This setup will likely be used to counter any early rushes, and from these positions they can have a really strong crossfire, dupreeh can take the initial contact, the T should be able to swing out, and they can shoot him from the front and the back. Now let's say your short player needs to be on A and not CT, this setup can be really nice. In this setup, Magisk will be towards the double doors, jiggling for information, whereas dupreeh will be on top of the bomb site, looking towards the tunnels to make sure he doesn't get shot in the back. In this scenario, the T's were to do a split, Magisk can either smoke off the doors or the tunnels to limit on where they can come from, making it so they can only come from 2 entrances instead of 3. But if you were to throw the smoke, you might want to keep an eye on it, as especially in pugs, it's possible they may just try to go through it. Now this is another good setup if you're a bit scared of the B splits. In this setup, Magisk will be underneath the stairs watching towards the tunnels, and Spinx will be right next to car hugging the wall. As of right now, none of them are open to a door or window, and they're forced to peek out into Spinx where he will take the initial contact. And if they come through window, Magisk should be able to sneak a kill in there. And especially with a smoke down towards the tunnels, this setup is really powerful, as again, if they were to do a B split, they're very limited on where they can go. Now there's quite a few occasions where the B players will have some aggression towards tunnels. Let me show you how they do it and why. In this round, OG has made a lot of presence towards long and has killed 2 of their CT players. As a response from them taking map control, they're going to take some of their map control. So Magisk is going to set dupreeh for pop flash, and dupreeh will go clear tunnels, where Magisk will rotate towards CT. In this round, the T's went completely silent and they made some presence on long. So again, to take map control away from them, they're going to push into tunnels together and clear it. But unfortunately for Vitality, they're actually going to do a B split and send no one tunnels. So Magisk will try to stop it by throwing this smoke. This should be the lurk smoke that the T's commonly throw, but unfortunately it doesn't land as it's supposed to, and will force him to play it in the open if he wants to contest the site. He'll try to stop them from going into window, but again, the Molotov misses. But even though his pieces of utility misses, he still does a fantastic job in getting a double kill and prolonging them. Now let me show you one more scenario. In this round, the T's have gone a bit quiet, and Magisk is going to push up a little bit with his AWP. The angle he's playing right now is pretty nasty, because anyone perhaps trying to come over and perhaps line themselves up with some util will just get punished. It's also worth noting though, Magisk is probably going to get traded if there were multiple T's inside of tunnels. As a B player, one of your kryptonites on that bomb site is those B splits. as allowing the T's to go up CT mid can give them the option of attacking you in 3 different locations. So let's have a look how Magisk will defend against B splits. In this round, Magisk is fighting towards tunnels, and his teammate in Dupree will die on mid. Dupree's going to call out they're going to push out mid, and due to this, Magisk will block out tunnels for a little bit, and will try to get an early pick into CT mid. He'll quickly check the Valde angle before peeking out. Now you're probably wondering that it is a bit risky. However, since he's all by himself from that B bomb site, and the T's can come from 3 different directions, he needs to put the ball in his court and try to allow himself to have a better chance of defending that bomb site. And as a result, he's going to get a kill onto Hooksy and immediately drop down, not allowing any trades to come through. But now that he's cleared mid, he knows that the T's may be coming towards tunnels, so he's just going to be watching it in this angle. But unfortunately, he's going to get team flashed, and Modesty will get the better of him. Now, I'm just going to say this on behalf of all B players. Please, if you want to support your B player, just flash like this and not right above the site, as you may get your B player to end up like Magisk. It's going to be pretty early into the round, and Magisk will just be defaulting out. He's going to try to creep up onto Hunter while he's throwing the lurk smoke, as he hears the utility being thrown, and as a result, he catches Hunter by surprise. And a bit before, Apex called out that the T's are splitting onto B, and is probably one of the reasons why Magisk pushed so hard for that kill on Hunter. Now that he's eliminated the tunnel's threat, both Dupree and Magisk are left to fight between doors and window. He will ensure tunnels is smoked off and play towards Xbox. And from here, he's just going to be looking towards window, while his teammate in Dupree will watch door. However, the T's go a bit silent, so Magisk wants to collect some information. He's going to creep back up, clear the Valde angle, and he'll catch Nico trying to fall off. It's also worth noting this doesn't work 100% of the time. As we can see, round 28, Magisk will just try to peek with a deagle, and will just get his head taken off from tunnels. Now again, G2 are going to be doing a B split, and Magisk will get the information. So with his smoke on hand, he will smoke off tunnels, and will push up close as both his teammates on mid just die. And you can see he's laser focused into tunnels. As mentioned before, it can be common for a player to push through a smoke, especially in pugs, as the whole point of a B split is that you're going to attack in 3 different angles, and the tunnels player may just try to catch you by surprise. But unfortunately, he doesn't get anything. He tries to fight Modesty in mid, but will die. Now, I just want to show you this one last round that I thought was pretty sick. In this round, Magisk will be jiggling towards tunnels, and his teammate in Dupree will get some contact. So to try and help him out, he'll smoke off tunnels to make sure he can't get flanked, and he will flash mid for Dupree. Dupree will try to fight it out at the boxes, and Magisk will play towards the doors, watching tunnels, but also ready to swing out if he's needed. In a second, he's going to fall off to site, since Dupree just seems to be fragging it out, but he will die, so now he's just left onto the bomb site by himself. He'll play towards Xbox, making sure he's not exposed towards tunnels, and will get the kill onto Flames, leaving Dexter in a 1v3. After watching Magisk's demos, I've noticed he's a bit unpredictable. Due to him changing the positions / setups he plays during each round, it's hard for T's to understand where he's playing. He's efficient, his utility is not used straight away, or one after the other. It's used in small bursts, where the first pieces will be used to stop a rush, and the rest to defend against splits and executes. And lastly, he's problematic. Because of the constant pressure on tunnels with spams, util, and crazy setups, it makes it difficult for a T to get a peek into B without taking damage. Apart from that, I hope you enjoyed the video. How about checking this video I did about Fnatic's event drops, where they conditioned Vitality so hard that they abused their rotations on their T side. Apart from that, thanks for watching, see you in a bit.